Tom Selleck is a total legend, an Emmy-winning icon who went from driving Ferraris in the 80s, hit Magnum P.I, to running the NYP as the police commissioner on the smash drama Blue Bloods. But hold everything, because Tom Selleck just celebrated his 80th birthday on January 29th. 2026, hitting a massive milestone in his legendary career. And now at 80 years old, Tom Selleck has finally broken his silence. After years of wild speculation and crazy internet theories, the man is ready to set the record straight once and for all. But the real burning question is, what is the truth? What did Tom Selleck actually confirm? And how is this going to change the way the public sees him forever? You better stay locked in, because by the end of this video, you will be getting all the juicy answers you need and a whole lot more. Let's dive right into it. Tom Selleck at 80? The man hit a huge milestone, and in true Selleck fashion, he did it in his own classic low-key style. We are talking no flashy Hollywood bashes, no over-the-top extravagance, just a simple, grounded day that reflected exactly who he is deep down. A man who values the little things like a solid meal, his family, and wait for it, a quick McDonald's run. You heard that absolutely right. The legendary actor, famous for that iconic mustache and effortless charm, actually kicked off his milestone birthday celebrations with a solo trip to a McDonald's drive-thru. And honestly, isn't that just incredibly relatable? Who among us doesn't crave some greasy, good old fast food every now and then? Even when you have the cash to have a 5-star meal prepared by a private chef? Maybe it was a little nostalgic treat, or maybe the guy just really needed some fries. Either way, it was such a refreshingly normal way to start the big day. But obviously, the real celebration went down later that evening, when Selleck and his nearest and dearest gathered at Tuscany Il Ristorante, a super upscale Italian spot in Thousand Oaks, California. It was exactly the kind of classy joint you would expect a man of his stature to choose. Elegant, warm and timeless. And as for Selleck, he looked effortlessly stylish, rocking a deep red button-up shirt under a sharp brown blazer and jacket paired with blue jeans and some sturdy boots. Because let's be real, would it even be a Tom Selleck fit without a little bit of that rugged cowboy flair? His wife of nearly 4 decades, Jilly Mack, looked just as stunning by his side, wearing a striped brown dress with a chic big jacket. Sophisticated, but totally relaxed, just like the couple themselves. Their daughter Hannah was there too, along with a few close friends, making it an intimate, meaningful gathering rather than some chaotic Hollywood spectacle. And that is so on brand for Selleck, keeping things real and focusing on the people who truly matter. For decades, fans have been gossiping about the whispers surrounding Tom Selleck's private life behind the scenes. Now at 80, the legendary actor is finally addressing the rumours head on, and what he reveals might just be more shocking than anyone expected. Was Hollywood hiding secrets about him all these years? Keep watching, because you definitely won't want to miss this update. As the evening wrapped up, the group exchanged warm hugs outside the restaurant, clearly just soaking in the moment. There was no rush, no cameras flashing wildly in their faces, just family and friends standing together, sharing in the happiness of a simple but incredibly special night. And in a move that was as sweet as it was telling, Selleck was spotted holding a birthday gift while walking hand in hand with Jilly back to their car. That is the thing about him. He has never been one for showboating, whether he is accepting a prestigious award on stage or just enjoying a quiet dinner with loved ones. He carries himself with that same grounded, easygoing presence. These days, Selleck has settled nicely back into life on his California ranch, which, fun fact, was once owned by the legendary Dean Martin. If that isn't a cool piece of Hollywood history, I don't know what is. And it is not just a house to him. It is his sanctuary. He has put in real physical labour over the years, even planting over 1,000 trees himself. Who knew Magnum P.I had such a green thumb, right? But that is the point. Selleck has always been more than just the roles he played on TV. He is a guy who genuinely enjoys getting his hands dirty, working the land and finding peace in the simplicity of nature. It is the kind of lifestyle that keeps him balanced. Far away from the toxic chaos of Hollywood and firmly rooted in what truly matters. And speaking of staying balanced, the man takes his health incredibly seriously. Even after undergoing knee replacement surgery last summer, he is fully committed to keeping fit. His routine isn't just about hitting the gym, though. He mixes things up with physical therapy, weight training, swimming, and even Tai Chi. Now, when it comes to the topic of getting older, Selleck has the most down-to-earth attitude about it. He doesn't make a big deal out of birthdays and doesn't stress about the numbers. He is just living his life. "I am trying not to count," he once said. With that signature humility we all love, and that makes total sense, right? Some people panic about getting older, but Selleck just rolls with it, staying focused on the present, on his family, and on the things that bring him actual joy. He even took the time to write his memoir, You Never Know. And get this, he wrote the entire thing by hand. Who even does that anymore? But that is just another example of how he does things his own unique way. He reflected a lot on his life in the book, sharing how he is proud of taking risks, even when they didn't always pan out perfectly. Risk is the price you pay for opportunity itself. He put it so simply, but honestly, isn't that just a fantastic perspective to have on life? Yet, if you really want to talk about the crown jewel of Selleck's existence, it has to be his rock-solid marriage to Jilly. We all know Hollywood romances usually crash and burn faster than a bad sequel, but these two have clocked in 39 years together. And let me tell you, that is practically an eternity in celebrity time. So what is their magic formula? It comes down to deep mutual respect, maintaining their own independence, and a massive amount of laughter. Selleck has gone on record multiple times saying that a genuine, deep-rooted friendship is the engine driving their relationship, and Jilly's razor-sharp wit ensures things never get too heavy or dull. He even confessed in a moment of vulnerability that their marriage probably would have hit the rocks if he had stayed that stereotypical actor who just ate, slept, and memorised lines, without ever carving out space for a real personal life. But thankfully, Jilly is a force of nature with a vibrant spirit that keeps them both fully plugged into the real world, way beyond the glitz and glamour of the camera lens. Fast forward to today, and Selleck is still the same heartthrob the world fell for all those years ago. He still possesses that rugged, effortless cool factor, that authentic warmth, and a nose to the grindstone work ethic that simply refuses to slow down. Whether he is celebrating another birthday by indulging in a Big Mac, getting his hands dirty, planting oak trees on his sprawling ranch, or mentally prepping for his next big close-up, he handles everything with a level of grace, humility, and a quiet, unshakable confidence that has become his signature brand. And really, isn't that exactly what separates the fleeting stars from the absolute legends? Now, Tom Selleck has famously guarded his privacy like a hawk, but at 81 years old, he is finally ready to shatter the silence surrounding the whispers that have dogged his steps for decades. We are talking everything from bitter Hollywood feuds to deeply personal battles. He is finally putting his version of the story on the record, and believe me, this revelation turns the narrative completely upside down. You are going to want to stick around because the secrets he has been keeping under wraps for all these years are about to come out. Let's talk about the recent shake-ups in his career. You know, that gut punch moment when you hear a piece of news and for a split second, your brain just rejects it. You think, no way, that is impossible. But then the cold hard truth settles in and it actually hurts. That is the exact wave of emotion that crashed over the die-hard fans of Blue Bloods when CBS dropped the hammer and announced the show's cancellation back in November of 2023. And let's keep it 100, who actually predicted that disaster? I mean, seriously, Blue Bloods wasn't just some filler content. It was the undisputed king of Friday night television for nearly 15 glorious years. Families literally built their weekly schedules around it, gathering in front of their screens as if they were honorary members of the Reagan clan themselves. It was a ritual. And then out of nowhere, snap, just like that, the network decided to pull the plug. If the audience felt betrayed and heartbroken, just imagine the blow it dealt to Tom Selleck personally. This gig was not just a paycheck for him, it was a massive pillar of his daily existence. So understandably, when CBS delivered that bombshell news, he wasn't about to just shrug his shoulders and say, oh, well, that is showbiz for you. No, Selleck had a strategy, and this is where the story gets really juicy. Instead of rolling over and accepting the abrupt end, Selleck marched into the CBS offices with a pretty brilliant counter-proposal. Why not extend the farewell tour just a little bit longer? You know, give the saga a proper send-off rather than chopping it off at the knees. He pitched the idea of expanding the final run by adding 8 extra episodes, which would allow the network to slice the final season into 2 distinct chapters. We are talking 10 episodes in the spring, followed by a final 8 in the fall. Pretty savvy move, right? It ensured the series got the respectful goodbye it had earned over the years, while still making dollars and cents for the executives at CBS. And quite frankly, it was the absolute bare minimum they could offer, considering the show was still absolutely crushing. The competition in the ratings game, like, let's look at the numbers. Blue Bloods was the 6th most watched show during the 2023 to 2024 season, if you exclude Sunday Night Football. Just let that reality sink in for a moment. How on earth do you justify cancelling a juggernaut that is still dominating the charts? Frustrating? Doesn't even begin to describe the vibe. And Selleck, yeah, he wasn't exactly hiding his displeasure. I am kind of frustrated, he confessed in an interview. And honestly, who could blame the guy? But despite all that behind-the-scenes drama and annoyance, Selleck never let it sever his deep bond with Blue Bloods. And particularly with his character, Frank Reagan, he absolutely adored stepping into Frank's shoes. It wasn't merely a role he played for the cameras. It was his legacy. So when production on that final season finally kicked into gear, he remained as professional and dedicated as he had been on day one. You know how some actors start to mentally check out and phone it in when they know the pink slip has been signed? Not Selleck. Not for a second. Even after the cameras stopped rolling and filming wrapped, he caught himself instinctively prepping for Monday's script, only to be hit with the realisation that there were no more Mondays on the schedule. That must have been such a surreal, jarring moment for him after spending more than a decade living as Frank. His brain was still wired for the job, even though the job was history. And we have to talk about that final family dinner scene. It is iconic. If you've ever seen a single episode of Blue Bloods, you know those Sunday dinners were the beating heart and soul of the entire series. They weren't just scenes about consuming food, they were about the bonds of family moral debates and the Reagan heritage. So naturally, the very last one had to be something extraordinary. It was actually scheduled as the second to last scene they ever filmed. And when the director finally yelled cut and wrapped the series, a hush fell over the entire studio. Nobody moved a muscle. Nobody said a word. It was as if the entire cast and crew were holding their breath collectively, mourning the end. And right then, Selleck did something incredibly touching. He recited the poem Love Is Not All by Edna St. Vincent Millay to the cast. And this wasn't just some random selection. That specific poem had held deep significance for him going all the way back to his days on Magnum P.I. It was a raw, deeply personal tribute. And seriously, if that story doesn't make you get a lump in your throat, I don't know what will. The series finale itself, which they titled End of Tour, managed to tie up multiple loose ends while staying faithful to the core values that made Blue Bloods such a hit. Selleck was determined to ensure that the world understood one thing. This show was not going to fade away quietly. My biggest goal is to make sure people realise we went out in rather magnificent style. A total smash hit. That's the phrase he used. And honestly, the guy isn't wrong. It wasn't like the series was losing steam or dragging its feet across the finish line. The ratings were solid, the storyline still packed a punch. You almost never see that kind of longevity in primetime television these days. As for the network executives over at CBS, let's be real, they are definitely going to be kicking themselves in the future. Selleck made a fantastic point. How many programs actually exist that can deliver those numbers? We are talking about a juggernaut that locked down Friday night dominance for a solid 15 years. It's unheard of, but despite all that success, the Suits still decided to kill the golden goose. The series finale wrapped up the only way it possibly could, gathered around that iconic table for one final Reagan family dinner. And when Frank spoke his final piece, man, it hit right in the heart. He talked about how much they had to appreciate. He looked at his family and admitted that the pride and gratitude he felt in that moment were just overwhelming. That wasn't just some dialogue typed out by a writer. That was genuine emotion. It was Tom speaking. It was the entire ensemble, and it was a message to every single viewer watching at home. You could feel that heavy, bittersweet cocktail of honour and heartbreak swirling in the air. Through the whole ordeal, Selleck kept it classy, acting like the absolute legend he is. He didn't throw a fit or badmouth the network. No sour grapes, just pure thankfulness. He famously mentioned that he simply doesn't believe in carrying around resentment or holding grudges. Obviously, walking away after a decade and a half is tough. But he refused to let the cancellation cast a shadow over their achievements because they created something truly unique. This wasn't your standard cop procedural, it was a cultural touchstone. And regarding his co-stars, Tom summed it up perfectly. He said he was incredibly proud that not a single actor ever dialed it in or got lazy. They brought their A-game to the set every single day. That dedication is exactly why Blue Bloods transcended the genre to become something greater. It was more than entertainment, it was a legitimate slice of television history. So sure, the network execs might have officially dropped the axe on the Reagan family saga. But let's be honest here, this series isn't fading into obscurity. The fan base is loyal, and they are going to be streaming episodes and debating plot lines for years and years to come regarding Tom Selleck's next move. Who knows, but one fact remains indisputable. His tenure as police commissioner Frank Reagan, absolutely iconic. You know what they say, Tinseltown's deepest secrets eventually bubble to the surface. Now at 81 years old, the moustache legend is proving that right. He is finally ready to clear the air regarding all those whispers that have dogged his footsteps for decades. And let me tell you, the reality is actually pretty startling. It is deeply emotional and completely defies public expectation. So what exactly is he confessing after all this time? You are going to want to stick around for this one. Let's talk about his daily grind off camera. That 65-acre spread out in Ventura County is way more than just a piece of real estate to him. It is his absolute haven. It is his primary escape route from the madness of the entertainment industry, the one spot that keeps him grounded. He actually snapped up this land way back in 1988. He didn't buy it to be some glitzy vacation spot for A-listers. He wanted a legitimate functioning ranch. He needed a place where he could genuinely get dirt under his fingernails and live his life exactly how he wanted. Mornings out there start way before dawn breaks. We are talking pitch black when Tom rolls out of the sack. He is up way before his wife, Jilly. After nearly 4 decades of marriage, that staggering of wake-up times has just become part of their natural flow. And he isn't. Just waking up to sit on the couch and doom scroll. His first mission of the day, heading straight for the tea kettle to get that water boiling. He wants to ensure it is piping hot and ready for Jilly the second she stirs. It is a tiny detail, sure, but it screams volumes about the respect he has for her. Honestly, it is those quiet, consistent acts of service that keep a bond unbreakable, even after all these years. Don't you agree? Once the water is heating up, he settles into his personal quiet zone. He loves to start his mental engine slowly with a physical newspaper simply because, even though he plays the role of the rugged outdoorsman, he stays plugged into current events. After catching up on the news, he jumps on his ATV for a morning patrol. He does a full loop of the estate. Now, don't get me wrong, tearing around 65 acres at sunrise sounds like a blast. It sounds like a killer way to wake up, but this isn't a joyride. He is on a mission. He is inspecting the wildflowers he has spent literally years cultivating by hand. It is a passion project he is deeply invested in. He has talked about how he has been seeding them for seasons, noting how they erupt in distinct cycles. He explained that even in the dead of winter, one variety pops and then right on its heels, another species takes over. There is something really poetic about that, isn't there? It is nature's way of passing the baton, but don't let the flowers fool you. This is a legitimate working operation. The to-do list never ends. Selleck might be Tinseltown royalty, but when he is inside those fence lines, he is just another ranch hand. He is out there mending fences, hacking away brush and stewarding the soil. The place actually used to be a massive avocado orchard, but then a nasty drought came through and decimated the crop. These days, the land is studded with over 1,500 native trees, and every single one demands attention. And if you think he hires a crew for all of that, think again. Tom is out there doing the heavy lifting. He refers to it as grunt work, but it is obvious he wouldn't have it any other way. Whether he is grading the dirt roads or tossing hay to the horses, he is hands-on with every aspect of the operation. To him, working up a sweat in the fresh air is infinitely better than pumping iron in a mirror-lined room. He has flat out admitted he despises traditional gyms. He joked that doing manual labour beats sitting on a spin bike and staring at his own belly button. And honestly, looking at him, he is probably in sturdier condition than guys half his age, purely thanks to that daily ranch regimen. When you look at the big picture, you start to understand that this acreage isn't just dirt and grass. It is his anchor in a stormy sea. The entertainment business is notoriously fickle. One minute you are the king of the mountain, and the next the industry has chewed you up and spit you out, but the soil that isn't going anywhere. The oaks keep climbing the flowers, keep cycling, and the work is always waiting. That reliability is exactly why Selleck clings to this lifestyle so fiercely. He has said plainly that his marriage and his ranch are the only things keeping him sane, as he gradually pivots away from his marathon TV run. Now that his legendary run on Blue Bloods is firmly in the rearview mirror, his sanctuary away from the limelight feels more vital than ever before. This isn't merely a house where he lays his head, it is the spiritual ground where his soul truly takes root. When it comes to his professional trajectory in 2026, do not make the mistake of thinking Tom Selleck is pumping the brakes. If anything, the man is just revving up the engine for a brand new chapter. Even with the curtain closing on the Reagan family saga, that undeniable spark of creativity is still roaring like a bonfire within him, pushing him to look toward the horizon. He is approaching the future with the giddy anticipation of a teenager landing their first big break. And as for the R word, retirement, forget about it. Selleck is nowhere near finished with weaving cinematic magic. His gaze is firmly fixed on Fresh Venture's complex characters waiting to be born and innovative methods to showcase that signature talent that has captivated us for generations. Let us keep it 100% real here. Who on earth is ready to let him go? The man has been a pillar of Hollywood excellence for what feels like forever, and his legion of die-hard fans is certainly not prepared to wave a final farewell. Fortunately for all of us, he feels exactly the same way. So what is at the very top of his bucket list right now? You probably guessed it already. A gritty, authentic, old-school Western. If there is a single genre that makes Selleck's heart beat faster, it involves a dusty Stetson, a trusty steed, and a narrative that transports you straight into the raw, unpolished glory of the American frontier. His track record in the saddle is legendary, boasting instant classics ranging from the iconic Quigley Down Under to the gripping Crossfire Trail and the unforgettable Monty Walsh. Now, the itch to ride again is undeniable, but here is the juicy scoop everyone is whispering about. He has laser-focused his ambition on collaborating with the modern king of the genre, Taylor Sheridan. We are talking about the visionary genius behind the Yellowstone Empire. The moment Selleck witnessed the magic, Sheridan worked with Sam Elliott in the prequel 1883, a light bulb went off. Everything just clicked into place. He reportedly thought to himself, that is the standard. That is exactly the type of high-caliber Western drama I need to be a part of. And seriously, who among us would not pay to see that happen? Sheridan possesses a Midas touch for revitalizing rugged storytelling, while Selleck the man was practically sculpted by the gods specifically to inhabit the soul of a weary, wise cowboy. Just visualize those two titans joining forces for a project. We are talking about a cinematic event that would dominate the conversation around water coolers and social media feeds for years to come. But hold on, because the plot thickens even more. Selleck is not just a pretty face in front of the lens. He wields some serious heavyweight power and skill from behind the camera as well. It might not be the headline on every tabloid cover, but he has been quietly producing top-tier projects for decades, proving he has a razor-sharp instinct for what constitutes a compelling narrative. Rewind to 2003, when he served as the executive producer for Monte Walsh. That film did not just do well, it smashed records to become the highest-rated Friday night movie in the history of basic cable at the time. His fingerprints are all over other massive hits too, having influenced projects like the close of A Crossfire Trail, and he was even pulling the strings during those final crucial seasons of Magnum P.I. So let's be clear, he isn't just selecting scripts, he is actively sculpting them. He ensures that every story he attaches his name to has the weight and depth that audiences deserve. Now, while we are on the topic of storytelling, the rumour mill loves to buzz about a potential Blue Bloods spin-off. You would assume that after embodying Frank Reagan for so many years, he might be itching to open a new chapter within that beloved police family universe, right? Well, pump the brakes, because that is not exactly the case. While he is reportedly open to hearing a pitch, nobody has actually knocked on his door with a concrete offer. And knowing Selleck, he is not the type to force a project into existence just to cash a check. Besides, there is another franchise that gets his blood pumping way more. He is talking about more Jesse Stone movies. Now, that is a passion project that he could really sink his teeth into and craft with care. When the dust settles, the industry and fans alike have realised that the fuel driving Selleck's engine is simply an uncompromising commitment to quality storytelling. He has always been a gambler when it comes to art, and while not every single bet has hit the jackpot, the ones that did pay off became legends. That is exactly what keeps him grinding. It is the unbridled passion, the intellectual challenge, and the sheer thrill of breathing life into something meaningful. He has been playing this game at the highest level for decades, and sure, Father Time has thrown some curveballs his way, but one thing remains rock solid: his absolute love for the craft of acting. He remains just as emotionally invested, just as eager to step onto a soundstage and create magic as he was on day one. So if you were under the impression that the finale of Blue Bloods meant the end of the road for Selleck's Hollywood journey, you better think again. The man has a vault full of stories to tell, complex roles to inhabit, and ambitious projects to greenlight. Whether that manifests as a gritty Western collaboration with Taylor Sheridan, a surprising heartfelt comedy, or another dark chapter in the Jesse Stone saga, or perhaps something totally out of left field, one fact remains indisputable: Tom Selleck is definitely not riding off into the sunset to gather dust just yet. And honestly, we would not want it any other way. That wraps up our deep dive for today. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you got a kick out of this update, please smash that like button, drop a comment below, and hit subscribe for more celebrity scoops, for more thrilling stories, just like this one. Go ahead and click on the next video popping up on your screen right now.